It should be like the Austrian woman in venture capital and technologies. Yeah, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Lubna Dajani, and I am an entrepreneur and a technologist, a systems designer, systems thinker, with a great interest in the impact of technology on humanity and the experiences we create for ourselves and life on the planet.
And my first question, let's talk about insights in the next 15 years. What's going on and what is like the next things in artificial intelligence, what's going on in health industry, what's going on in food and robotics and education. What do you think? What is your prediction?
Well, as is, I think life is changing as we have more adoption of connected services. So I think communication and computation technologies, which include everything up and down the technology stack, be it innovations in the processors, in storage, in battery, in network, 5G, for example. And then you have all of the innovations that are happening, whether it's in AI, data, immersive technologies. And when you stack that technology stack together on top of itself, the impact is exponential. It is to the power of, unlike in the past, we've never had the kind of capacity to access that level of data and that depth of it. Nor did we have the kind of tools that we have today to analyze it. So our ability to decipher cause and effect is exploding. The fact that we've been in this lockdowns of COVID, I say over the last with COVID, it's a year per month in the improvement in the adoption rate. We're progressing at least a year per month, and I think the longer we stay in these lockdowns and the state we're in now, it'll probably be even a month and a half, a year and a half per month. So I think by the end of this year, we've gone more than a generation or a decade or plus in a matter of a year.
What is the challenges, opportunities, what they see during the COVID for this industries? Travel and plus really important for the IoT.
As a result of COVID, you mean, and this change, or in general? Well, it's interesting because and not to make this political, but it's really less about the technology and the advances in technology that are happening, and more in our rate of adoption and how our society, our governments are handling the pandemic. The technologies are being used to impact how we think and feel about it. So the technologies are being used to track, the technologies are being used to further accelerate our adoption of not just technology really, but of mindsets and concepts. So I think what's really interesting now is when you stack the technologies, the rate of change is and the rate of learning and the advancement is accelerated. So what is really important to note, I think, is technology, especially information communication technology, magnify whatever root characteristics we have. So if the business models that we're applying are further exploitative, it's going to accelerate over the next 15 years. It would become, I feel we might become the board if we continue as such. But the good news is, I think a lot of us recognize that the things that we're valuing in life need to be reconsidered. And then the technologies that we have today I truly believe can accelerate, can quickly help us reverse the negative effects we've had on the environment and enabling us to innovate in a more elevating way. And then we have then a great opportunity across the field to from healthcare. I mean, travel. I mean, I love to travel. I can't imagine myself being grounded. So,
Yeah.
but we need to move from offsetting our carbon footprint to thinking about how do our supply chain and how do we source differently, how do we get clean energy so that we can continue to enjoy these things and with a more cognizant perspective on what its impact.
On the startup side, what is your advice how they can survive, and what is your the strategy for the something like the forward thinking strategy for the investors? Let's talk about this.
I think there's a lot of money in the market, and innovation can happen anywhere. If anything, COVID or lockdowns have unlocked our ability to see that we are not really defined just by where we are. What is local to me isn't just what is physically local, but what is also what digitally enables is we are local to each other because we are like-minded, because we have similar interests. So we can now outreach as entrepreneurs. We can reach to a lot more investors. It's no longer you have to be in my backyard for me to invest in you. And with that, I see a lot more innovation and doors opening for emerging countries, where also the entrepreneurs need a lot less money. It'd be surprising how small amount of money can generate huge impact.
Mm-hmm.
So for investors, I advise to come out of get off the high horse, if you will, and the ivory tower, and come down to there's a lot of grassroots innovations that are happening. And if you look at India and Africa, a lot of social entrepreneurship applications that we're getting. And for entrepreneurs, every no will get you a step closer to yes. And if you take the criticism as a contribution to improving your next stage, and keep out.
How it look like the impact? Why it's so trendy right now?
Well, it's about time. And the important thing is that it should be regenerative investing. I worry because everything has impact if it has money behind it, but how do we want it to impact? So I think to me, impact investing is about how are we going to put our money to use in a way that regenerates the planet, regenerates society, and regenerates individuals. And there is again, that's when I talk about supporting entrepreneurship and innovation in places like Africa and in emerging markets like that. And it's really important that when we are looking at these investments, to look at the social impact, not just the economic wealth, but the social wealth index, like Rian Eisler talks about. And there's a lot of opportunity to recognize that we need that our best interest is found in the interest of the community around us and the society at large. And if we do that, and if we start looking at, I talk about, instead of vertical wealth accumulation, to horizontal wealth enablement creations through social entrepreneurship enablement. So this is a tremendous opportunity for all of us to make a difference and to invest in socially aware, environmentally aware technologies and applications of technology.
Mm-hmm. And how it work for the female founders?
For female founders?
Yeah. What is your best advice how they can improve more female founders in entrepreneur industry, and more it's mostly about like the US entrepreneurs, or like in general in global too.
Well, I think we have needed more feminine energy in the market, and it's not just in the US, everywhere. I think, for example, we're investing in a group of very small startups, and really not even as startups, but service providers and women who are providing for their families, who are creating services in businesses within communities, their communities that are creating well-being for themselves, and elevating the community large. So there's not been a better time, and tomorrow will be even better for women entrepreneurs. But women are quite sensible. I think it's been demonstrated. You know, it's the same thing as I feel with lots of innovation, or the right thing that needs to happen. We're always fighting what's the ROI, what's the ROI. It's been demonstrated already that women are as good, and not even, I don't want to say that, but together we can create a much better environment. Women have a lot of sensibilities to offer. We just need to have a bit more courage now, and a lot more support for each other. As much as we've come, as long as we've come, and as far as we've come, we have a lot more to go. So I'm very excited about this time. I look at my daughter, speaking about challenges in gaming industry. She's a young digital artist, and it's amazing that it's still at the rate, but still they are able to stand and talk about it as young people, which has changed. It is the time to take action and to step up to the plate. There is nothing that's stopping women from being creating that equilibrium that's been missing in the market and in society at large, I think.
And what's going on the remote work side? What do you think about what's happened with Silicon Valley? What is the advice for the global startups who want to do something together, and plus using something specific for the remote work? How it's work for your team?
Well, so for me, as an entrepreneur and a mother, and at my age, I have always done remote work ever since I left my corporate world, and well, really, actually, I had my daughter and I had to choose. So I launched my independent career, and I've been working remote for the last 20-something years. So lockdowns and remote work has been a commonplace for me. And it's amazing to see the impact that COVID has had on video conferencing type technologies, and even the adoption of the tech is all on our mindset. I mean, this technology has been around for more than 20 years, and it's really, one might be embarrassed of the quality of the services sometimes, considering how long we've had them, and what is technically possible. So I think remote work is, it's not going to continue to be just remote. Nothing is really just, even though it's all virtual, but we're not really yet virtual unless we're talking about deepfakes and all that good jazz we've been talking about lately. It's you're physically there, I'm physically here. I think we will find a lot more improvements on the quality. I mean, there are a lot of things that we can talk about in terms of technologies like AI type and technologies that would affect the quality and the experience and the content. But we can get into all kinds of conversations about ethics and the applications of it.
Yes, and I have one more question from our viewers. Andrew, the question was about how do you see, what is your opinion, what's going on with investment from the conservative or traditional side, maybe family offices, maybe enterprise companies in emerging markets. They are like Africa. Because of political issues,
Um, at least from my experience, I mean, probably your other speakers and the ladies might have more to say on this. But I work with a few high net worth individuals, and a lot of them are starting to warm up to much more to seed and to startups at that level and that they've and even angel and getting excited about having taking part in not just in the revenue generation, but actually in the enablement of innovation. So I'm finding it becoming a lot more interesting. So that's been wonderful. And then some of the countries in the Middle East, obviously, it's been a recognition of needing to move away from just oil. So the opportunities are really there. It's a good time.
Yeah, but
I am
yeah, but the guys talk about Africa, but maybe you have something like the specific strategy for the China and for the Asia.
Well, I have been very interested in Africa, particularly, and my focus has been a lot there because I've been very interested in this cultural regeneration. I fear for countries that have a very young population. The majority of the population are young, and that we are losing the indigenous wisdom. So I have been spending quite a bit more time with my focus on getting to understand the complexities of investing in Africa. And Africa is not only just a big continent, but it is it has many cultures and different big and small differences. And as you alluded to, the economic, the political situation. But I think cities like Lagos, for example, the amount of innovation that's coming out is extremely exciting, and we are, inviting any and everyone who wants to be involved and be in the creative process of how do we invite more entrepreneurship, bring in more of the technology while preserving and leveraging the indigenous wisdom, so that we don't, so that we can take the best out of technology that has to offer, learn from the mistakes of the West, and innovate and elevate rather than normalize Africa into just another Western society.
Okay, what is your the really great startup for the healthcare, or maybe for the artificial intelligence? What do you think? What is a best case? Because actually the talk yesterday, it was a special hackathon for the new technologies, disruptive technologies in machine learning, and for the better lifestyle, for the smart cities. Maybe you share it with us.
AI is very, very, very powerful, and it can be applied to any specialty area. There's also, there's a lot of work that's happening in terms of the ethical implications of AI and how it is being applied, and how it's being created, so that we can actually get a handle on how it's changing us. The applications are enormous and very powerful, from the deepfakes to, for example, one of our Horizon 2020, the NGI Trust investment, using AI and deep learning to do identity and visual and video, images, enhancements, recognitions, real-time analysis. all on device, which would improve security immensely, because you don't have to you don't have to share the biometric or the data. It is analyzed right on device. So there is a lot of use of cryptography together with AI, in terms of identity, in terms of personal data management, and the applications of secure access to the intelligence that can be derived from data. For example, another company is looking at using blockchain technology with graph databases and embedded security and AI to analyze the data, but for mobility management. So for an insurance company to be able to, this new training, for example, around the insurance as a service, pay as you go, pay for your insurance as you use the car and how you use it, and if it's for example being used as a part of a fleet or for personal use, and all of these different analysis that can be done to the data while retaining security. So there's a lot of interesting applications going on right now in that phase that I think would help from, for example, the video analysis can be used to change for entertainment, but it's at the same time, enhancing all your videos, what have you, but we're also using it to be able to identify a COVID infected lung a lot quicker and much more accuracy than anything else.
Interesting. And one more question. Let's talk about countries and investors. These countries use, they want to use commodities. And what's going on in these countries and like on the investment side? And because they want to move these traditional resources to the green energy, and they want to support to the green tech. How we can do this? What is
I'm sorry.
It's all about like the green tech startups, because it's like the countries with high level of the GDP based on the commodities, oil and gas, and how we can support these startups.
I'm not understanding the question. I'm sorry.
It's all about green tech startups. How we can support the startups.
Oh,
because it's like for example, Russia. It's all about like the oil and gas industry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is it's so like the unpredictable for the investors who want to support to the something sustainable startups and invest in green tech, and how we can support to the community.
Well, I think it's really critical that we do move to green energy.
Why?
Well, because the planet is a finite thing. Scarcity. The life is the only scarcity. If this planet is, it's like draining the oil of the planet and squandering it. It's like draining the oil, the blood from an individual, and just letting it run on the floor. If I give blood and it's a blood donation, I'm giving blood to a blood bank, it is saving lives. Okay, but we have exploited the planet. We have been parasitic, leaving a horrifying footprint for how we've exploited the planet, and we do just to harvest and accumulate, so we can say we have been profitable, and we are the richest, or we've made the most money, or and it doesn't work. It's not sensible. It doesn't work that way. The one resource, the one thing we have that is finite is the natural life of this planet, as is the natural life of ourselves. When we are being very short-sighted and creating these revenues just so that we can stack them up somewhere and get, so that we, in a digital counter, saying that it is, oh, I now have a zillion, I have a bazillion tomorrow. It's useless. It has zero impact on the quality of your life. So moving to impact investing, moving to horizontal, like I said, horizontal wealth enablement and social entrepreneurship. It's not. It's when we say, I say we discovered that all roads lead to Rome, and we all want to be at Rome. So we stopped trying to get to Rome and got busy accumulating roads to Rome and blocking them from anyone else to getting them. It's ridiculous. It's going to be a lot more fun to measure to measure your wealth by how many happy moments you have and how many other people have you enabled to have a sustainably prosperous life. So why would we do it? I mean, it makes all the sense in the world. That's why.
Okay, and what is your advice for the millennial generation who wanna be entrepreneur?
Just be. Just go for it. It's never been more acceptable. In the past, we have held against ourselves. We've created all kinds of frameworks and belief systems that hindered us from unleashing our creativity, from creating realities from our dreams. And we have these earlier generations that have fought, that have brought us to here. We bear the scars, so that you can have the opportunity to create, not to hold grudges for the mistakes that we have made, but to take the learnings and unleash yourself, to have fun and be creative with your ideas and believe in yourself and do it.
And what is your advice for the startups who wanna fundraising during pandemic and use like a Zoom? There's out there one-to-one meetings.
Well, there are a lot of channels nowadays, more than ever. There are even coaches. So I should get some on your Zoomness and worthy. Reach out to. There are a lot of investors out there that are have their door open. Also, because of I don't usually say, and depending on how much or what stage you're at, I don't usually say go for grants, but I'm, for example, and I evaluated a coach for the Horizon 2020 Next Generation Internet Trust project, and particularly the NGI, for example, the application is quite simple, and there's a lot of money that's been put aside for COVID innovations that help people from, whether it's with health or mental health or otherwise, with education, with remote work, with any creative idea you might have, you'll find an avenue for it. And the money is for these grants is much more accessible than traditional grants. You need serious expertise, and you still do, and there's for these multi-million knowledge transfer grants or what have you, but collaboration, find collaborators, something that is the things that were not so acceptable before are acceptable. Look at us, we're in our living rooms, we're collaborating rather than, and it's important that we collaborate and co-create rather than there's plenty of room for change, and we especially when it's talking about impact investing, because it's about changing our behavior and taking the planet and everything and life on it to a better place.
Yeah, and they have one more question. What is the difference between the social entrepreneurship and like the traditional profitable entrepreneurship? And what about impact investment? What is the difference if than the traditional venture capital firms want to invest in social entrepreneurs? How it look like in your experience?
For me, it's about the metrics we use and our awareness of the field of effect, as a friend once called it, which is not just the intended, but the intended and the unintended consequences of your actions or your product or service, and the impact of we say, oh, it's electric car, then it must be better, but then where is this electricity coming from? How is it generated? How it's being stored? How it's being managed? We started, you asked about the smart cities. Smart city applications are fantastic, but they can, and they're numerous, and we can spend hours talking about it, and it's very exciting, but it's more exciting to move from smart for the benefit of profitability, and moving to smart for having a healing, regenerative. At the end of the day, if you end every day as a happy day, then you'll be able to look back and realize that you've had a really good life. So in terms of, for me, whether it's social entrepreneurship, and it doesn't just have to be technology based, although I'm a geek and technology is super exciting, but it's really the bringing together of technology and something, because technology is an enabler. So you can innovate by creating a new innovation out of the lab, a new piece of tech, and then more excitingly is when you take that and apply it to a particular vertical, or what was a problem becomes a source of, instead of it being a thorn in your side, it can become a source of fund savings. Like for example, taxes could be a pain in the side, but if you apply proper interesting technology to it, whether it's data mining or better understanding of your value flows in an organization, then you'll be able to better manage your obligations.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you for this interview and for this conversation. See you on our next videos. We want to talk about health tech industry, food, smart cities, and art. See you, and thank you so much.
Yeah. Pleasure.